Mark was a young entrepreneur, and his hands were shaking under the table. He was sitting in a glass-walled boardroom, trying to sell his tech startup to a veteran billionaire. The billionaire sat across from him, leaning back in a leather chair, his face unreadable. Mark started talking. He talked about his user growth, his revenue projections, and his unbeatable algorithm. He rambled for 10 minutes, terrified that a single second of silence would make him look weak or unprepared. He was desperate for a $10 million investment. It was the only way to keep his company alive. The billionaire finally spoke. "It's a good product," he said, his voice low and raspy. "But 10 million is too high. I'll give you 5 million for 40% of the company." Mark panicked. 5 million wasn't enough to cover his debts. He immediately started compromising. "Well, maybe we can look at 7 million? Or I could give you more equity? What if we—" Just then, his mentor, an old billionaire who had been sitting silently in the shadows of the room, stood up. He walked slowly to the table and signaled Mark to be quiet. The mentor didn't look at the paper. He didn't look at the slides. He just looked directly into the eyes of the buyer. And then, he said nothing. 1 second, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. The air in the boardroom turned to ice. Mark could hear the hum of the air conditioner and the rapid breathing of the buyer. The buyer adjusted his tie. He cleared his throat. He looked at his watch, then back at the mentor, who remained as still as a statue. 15 seconds. The silence was becoming physical, like a weight pressing down on the room. It is human instinct to break an awkward silence. At the 20-second mark, the buyer finally cracked. He wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead and stammered, "Look, if we're talking about the intellectual property rights too, I suppose I could go to 8 million. The mentor didn't blink. He just raised one eyebrow and continued his cold, steady stare. The buyer's composure completely collapsed. "Fine, 10 million. Just stop looking at me like that. 10 million for 30%. Let's get the lawyers." After the contract was signed, Mark's legs felt like jelly. "How did you know he would cave?" he asked his mentor. The old man leaned in close. "Because of the mirror of fear," he said. "When you are silent, the other person's mind becomes their own worst enemy. They start wondering if you know something they don't. They start fearing that they've insulted you. To kill that fear, they will pay any price. In a negotiation, the person who speaks first to stop the awkwardness is the one who loses. Silence isn't just the absence of noise, it's the ultimate psychological weapon. You won't see this anywhere else, so subscribe before you miss the next one.